She kept knocking over his trash can, but his revenge trash can stopped her cold. Have you ever had a neighbor who just couldn't mind their own business? Well, imagine this. Every week, a hard-working man takes out his trash, only to find it mysteriously knocked over again and again. But when he finally uncovers who's behind it, let's just say karma shows up in the most unexpected way. Before we dive into this unbelievable story of one man's clever revenge against his HOA Karen neighbor, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that will leave you saying, "No way, that really happened." Now, let's get into it. Meet Marcus, a 32-year-old hardworking IT professional who had recently bought his first home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. To Marcus, this home wasn't just four walls and a roof. It was proof of years of discipline, late nights, and sacrifices. He kept his yard tidy, paid his bills on time, and followed every HOA rule to the letter. But there was one problem. Every Wednesday morning, when Marcus rolled his trash bin out to the curb, he'd return later in the day to find it mysteriously knocked over. Trash scattered across his lawn, rolling into the street, sometimes even blowing into his neighbors' yards. At first, Marcus thought it was an accident. Maybe the wind was too strong. Maybe raccoons or stray cats were digging around. But after the fifth week in a row, it was obvious. Someone was doing this on purpose. And as Marcus began to pay closer attention, he noticed something strange. It always seemed to happen right after his neighbor Linda left for her morning walk. Linda was what everyone in the neighborhood had come to call an HOA Karen. She wasn't even the president of the homeowners association, but she acted like she was the sheriff of the block. Too many leaves on your lawn? She'd complain. A basketball hoop near your driveway? She'd call the HOA. And now Marcus was starting to believe that she was behind his never-ending trash disaster. Linda had a reputation that spread quickly around the neighborhood. A middle-aged woman with sharp blonde haircuts and an even sharper tongue, she made it her mission to maintain standards. Marcus had caught her staring at his home more than once, scanning the lawn, squinting at his flower beds, and even taking pictures on her phone. Whenever Marcus greeted her politely, she'd either ignore him or respond with a passive-aggressive smile. One day, Marcus decided to confront her directly. He asked, "Hey, Linda, have you noticed anyone messing with my trash cans lately?" Her response was quick and dismissive. "Well, maybe if you place them correctly, the wind wouldn't knock them over." Some of us actually care about how the neighborhood looks, Marcus knew at that moment. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't the animals. It was her. But he also knew better than to get into a shouting match. HOA Karens thrive on drama, and Marcus wasn't about to give her the satisfaction, so instead he began to plan. If Linda wanted to play petty games, Marcus would bring something bigger, smarter, and far more satisfying to the table. He started researching options: security cameras, motion detectors, even trash bins designed to lock shut. But then he stumbled upon an idea so perfect he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Marcus invested in a brand new trash can, but this wasn't just any trash can. This one was custom built. It had a motion-triggered alarm that would blare loudly if tipped over. And for an added touch, Marcus placed a discreet camera inside his garage pointed right at the curb. The setup was genius. Not only would he catch Linda red-handed, but the alarm would embarrass her in front of the whole neighborhood. The first week with the new can, Marcus rolled it out to the curb with anticipation. He sat back in his living room sipping coffee, pretending to watch TV, but his eyes kept darting toward the window. Sure enough, around 7:15 a.m., Linda came strolling down the sidewalk in her pink tracksuit, sunglasses perched on her nose, pretending to walk her little white dog. She slowed down as she neared Marcus's trash can. Then, with a quick glance around, she shoved it with her foot. Beep, beep, beep. The can erupted in a loud, blaring alarm. Linda jumped back, startled, as the sound echoed through the quiet street. Her dog started barking frantically. Neighbors peeked out their windows. One even stepped outside to see what the commotion was. And there she was, caught in the act. Linda's face turned red as she scrambled to hush her barking dog. She looked around nervously, but it was too late. People had seen her. Marcus, with his phone in hand, opened the garage door and calmly stepped outside. "Good morning, Linda," he said with a smile. Having trouble with my trash can? Linda stammered. I was just trying to fix it. It, it looked like it was about to fall. Marcus held up his phone showing the recording. Really? Because it looks to me like you knocked it over. By now, two other neighbors had gathered. One shook his head in disappointment, while another muttered, "Unbelievable." Linda tried to spin the story, but Marcus didn't need to argue. The video spoke louder than words. And when Marcus uploaded the footage to the neighborhood's HOA group chat, things got even worse for her. Comments poured in. This isn't the first time she's done something like this. She harassed me about my lawn chairs last month. She needs to stop acting like she runs this place. Linda had gone from self-appointed HOA queen to the neighborhood laughingstock overnight. From that day forward, Linda never touched Marcus's trash cans again. In fact, she avoided his house altogether. Whenever she walked her dog, she crossed the street before passing his home. But the story didn't end there. A few weeks later, the HOA president called an official meeting to address ongoing complaints of harassment. For years, people had tolerated Linda's petty policing, but now with video proof of her antics, the board finally had enough. Linda was stripped of any informal influence she had in the HOA. The president reminded everyone that harassment wouldn't be tolerated and that every homeowner had equal rights to peace and privacy. As for Marcus, he became something of a hero in the neighborhood. People congratulated him on standing up to her without losing his cool. One neighbor even brought him a homemade pie as thanks. And Marcus? He just smiled, knowing he had won, not by stooping to Linda's level, but by outsmarting her. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't shouting or arguing, it's letting someone expose themselves. And that's how one man turned the tables on his HOA Karen neighbor, with nothing more than a smart trash can and a little patience. This story reminds us of something important. You don't always need to fight fire with fire. Sometimes the cleverest way to deal with toxic people is to let their own actions be their downfall. So what do you think? Was Marcus too kind, or was this the perfect way to handle his neighbor? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next jaw-dropping story. Until next time, stay smart, stay kind, and remember, karma always finds its way. But here's the funniest part. Remember that special trash can Marcus bought? After the incident, he became a bit of a local legend. Neighbors started asking him, "Hey Marcus, where'd you get that thing?" Soon Marcus realized he wasn't the only one tired of Linda's antics. 3 of his neighbors bought the same alarm trash can, and within weeks the entire street became a Karen-free zone. Anytime Linda tried to nitpick, people would just smile and say, "Careful, Linda. We've got cameras now." What started as a petty problem turned into something bigger, a stronger, friendlier neighborhood where people actually stood up for each other. Marcus hadn't just protected his trash can, he'd inspired everyone to stop letting one toxic neighbor control their peace.